What's going on, YouTube? JT's Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of my DC comic book reviews. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about Catwoman issue number 37. This one was written by Ram V with art by Nina Vakuva, and this is the final Fear State tie-in for the Catwoman book. Now, I went ahead and I talked about all the other issues, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. So this is the last of the Catwoman Fear State tie-ins. And unfortunately, with this issue, they misplaced it, I feel like, in release. This issue, basically everything we know that's going to happen by the end of this thing already happened in the latest issue of Batman. So I feel like this issue should have came out before the events was it Batman 117. I think that was the most recent issue. I'm losing track off the top of my head. But yeah, really this issue should have come out before that because of what happens here. We know that Ivy is going to fuse with the other Ivy. So I feel like this story should have taken place before what happened in there, so it would have added a bit more suspense in it. But I'll say this though, Ram V did like the best they could given the circumstances with Fear State, pretty much just cutting a lot of the momentum in a lot of the books, but they did a good job tying it into what was the themes and the stuff that was going on in, you know, their Catwoman run. So to sum this issue up, basically they're in Ivy's in Alleytown. She had the different people kind of working together with her. They're trying to get Ivy out of there, and inevitably Riddler and Catwoman betray her, and it seems like all hope is lost, but Catwoman knew that Riddler was basically going to betray her. She kind of knew everything was all in place. She's like, okay, I knew the one who gave the information to the Magistrate, and when Riddler and Penguin, who were teaming up because they were robbed of their glory by Catwoman, and I think that was the events of Joker War and all that, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, they're robbed of all this wealth and riches, and they're going to screw Catwoman over because that's what villains like to do. But Catwoman knew this, and the Ivy they thought they were after turned out to be Clayface in disguise, which was a nice little twist, all things considered. And basically, she led all the Magistrate to capture Penguin, and she told Riddler, well, since you're hacked into their network, you're hacked into their network, they're pretty much going to track you down, so you might as well get running, Edward. So I thought that was pretty cool. It showcased the intelligence of Selina Kyle and how she's pretty much grown up with criminals her whole life. So she knows how they think, so she used her brains and wits to ultimately apprehend the Riddler. And eventually, as we know in Batman, Poison Ivy and that reunites, like the two forms of Ivy, like that Ivy and Queen Ivy reunites. So there's really no suspense given the story. But Selina's basically on the verge of getting apprehended by like the clones of the Wight Witch, which we saw in other issues. But she is saved by Ghostmaker, of all people. Ghostmaker doesn't really have any dialogue. He's just there to kind of show up and fight, which I guess it's a good use of him because in the Batman book, he just kind of seemed forgotten about towards a certain point. So I like that they utilized him here to help fight alongside Selina. And you got to wonder if she kind of reminisced about fighting alongside Batman, because Ghostmaker, as we know, was trained and fought alongside Batman on numerous occasions. So I'm sure they have very similar fighting styles. But inevitably, like, this is pretty much her kind of saying goodbye to what happened to Alleytown. And I believe Ram V's last issue is going to be the next issue, which is unfortunate because once Ram V kind of took over the Catwoman book, I wasn't too keen on what Joel Jones was doing. That's why I was kind of hesitant to kind of go back and read it, the whole run. Because, like, those first couple issues, I didn't find that interesting with Catwoman. And that's why I kind of dropped it, like, way early on. Now, with Fear State, I went ahead and I binge read the entire Catwoman run. And once Ram V took over, I thought the storyline got a lot more interesting. The supporting cast did. And I'm kind of disappointed that they're going to be leaving the book. I think the next issue is their last one. So I don't know what they're going to do after this. Hopefully it's something good, because I thought they crafted a really good Catwoman story. It just kind of sucks that Fear State kind of took over that. And it kind of gave Selina something really interesting to do on her own in Gotham, rather than constantly being linked to Batman. Yes, Batman does appear from time to time in the book, but I like the idea of her becoming kind of like this queen of Alleytown and like training all these different strays. You have like the Cheshire Cat and, you know, working with all these other villains and working with Harley. And this version of Ivy kind of gave us a little bit of a Gotham City Sirens reunion of sorts. And I like the way that they utilized her intelligence to outsmart the Riddler. Yes, the Riddler, one of the smartest villains, but the Riddler's ego is often his downfall. And like, I like the fact that she outwitted the Penguin too, utilizing Clayface, who, as we know, going all the way back to like Rebirth, was kind of redeeming himself, working on in the Detective Comics stuff. So I kind of liked the tie-in back to that in a way. So unless things changed, I can't it's been a while since I've read Rebirth Detective Comics, like the very beginning stuff when Tiny M was writing it, but I remember Clayface being kind of on the side of good. But then again, Infinite Run here, Dark Knight's Death Metal and all things sort of changed a lot of the timelines and made everything canon, but everything's not. I don't know. Continuity in DC gets kind of tricky. But in terms of like Fear State Times, I thought this one was pretty decent. It just kind of sucks that the momentum of this book was just kind of thwarted a bit with Fear State, but they did the best they could to kind of work around the events. It's just the timing of this issue really kind of kills the suspense of everything, because this issue is released after Fear State's pretty much over. I mean, we're going to have the Fear State Omega thing, which is going to hopefully wrap up all the different storylines that's going to come out in December. But we have this, we have Harley Quinn, which again, another book that's tied into Fear State, which doesn't really like, we already know where it's inevitably going to lead. It just wasn't doing that for me fully, like it could have been if it was just kind of sticking to its own story, but Fear State just kind of interrupted it. Fear State is an event, there's definitely some inconsistencies, it feels like, between a lot of the Fear State tie-ins with based on a lot of the events and like terminology for some of the characters and that, and like this one, like they did what they could given the circumstances of the events, but I'm just kind of glad that we're pretty much out of the whole Fear State thing after this week's issue of Catwoman. I'm excited to see how Ram V, I think, like I said, I think their next issue is their last issue, is going to end their run on Catwoman, and I'm intrigued to see where the book goes from here. It's going to suck that Ram V is no longer going to be writing it, but I hope going forward it's going to be good. So what are your thoughts on Catwoman issue number 37? Did you like this issue? Did you dislike it? Tell me your thoughts in the comment section down below. Overall, like I said, it's nothing all that spectacular, because Fear State was interrupting it, but given the circumstances, I thought they did okay, all things considered. So tell me your thoughts on the issue in the comment section down below. Be sure to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content, hit that bell for notifications. Be sure to come back next time. I'm going to be trying to cover Harley Quinn, and then I think I have Task Force Z left, and then I think I'm all caught up with Fear State. So I'm trying to get all of it done, and then I'll be good for whatever comes out next week. I think the Robin Annual comes out next week, so I'll be talking about that. But we're basically at the very end of Fear State, and I can't wait to be done. So, all right, that's all I got to say. Take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.